Hey guys, welcome to another session. Today we'll basically discuss on other concepts, a bit more advanced concepts of object-oriented programming. Today we'll basically discuss about object inheritance. The basic idea of object inheritance is you basically have a main class. So basically you have another class which basically derives, sort of inherits methods and attributes of the main class. So the main class is called as the parent class. And the class which basically inherits the methods and attributes of the parent class is called as child class. Okay. Terminology wise, fairly straightforward: parent class, child class. So child class sort of inherits. I think basically means you take up all the methods and attributes which are there in the parent class, right? So yeah, obviously, so child class can obviously modify whatever methods, whatever attributes it has inherited from the parent class also as well. So let's look at the syntax on how to actually inherit a base class, parent class, all mean the same thing. So this is the base class, right? So you'll be doing something. Oh yes, now how do you basically sort of inherit a classes? So suppose derived class. So this is my derived class. So you just basically put it over in parenthesis and just pass it. Right. So this is how basically how you inherit. Right. So we'll look at few examples as well. A few examples wherein we'll look at basically how look at actual examples to understand. The basic idea is this. Okay. So you have a base class. You have the parent class. You have particular methods, particular attributes in it. So whenever you create a derived class or create a child class, so whatever methods and attributes are there in the parent class, the child class would be able to access it. So that is what the whole idea is. Where it is useful is, say, suppose let's consider the example of Scikit-Learn. Right? Scikit-Learn is basically this machine learning library in Python. Right? So you can just basically use Scikit-Learn to run all your ML experiments. So how it is organized is, say, it has a base class, it has a classifier base class, it has a regressor base class. So all of your classification algorithms or all of your regression algorithms, right, basically derive from that class. So why do you do that? Basically is because certain things are common, right? So suppose in regression there are certain things which are common for all algorithms. So all of that has been coded up in the base class, right? So there's no point in writing the same code over and over and again, right? So basically what is being done is you have everything coded up in the regressor class, not everything, as in the ones which are commonly used. Right. So whenever you're writing a new algorithm, say you're writing a new random forest algorithm or a new GVM algorithm, right? You need not again type the same things over and over again. So you just inherit from the base class. So whatever the common things, you already have it, right? So you can basically focus on the other stuff which you need to write. So we'll look at one example in Python where we basically inherit few methods. We will basically look at inheritance. So we're writing the main class, which is the person class. You have an init method. Init. So these are the arguments, right? So you have your first, you have your last. So again, this is a very, very simple example just for explanation's sake. These methods are very simple. Then you have a name method where you're just writing self. So we just return self dot. So let's say this is first name. So let's say this is last name. Self dot first name. Right. So return. So you basically return, what do we return? We just basically, I think we'll just return self dot. So self dot first name, self dot last name. Now we'll basically create one more class. So this is the child class, right? So you have your person. It is sort of basically inheriting from this thing, inheriting all the methods in the person class. So again, just look at the syntax, because since you are inheriting it, you need to make sure you are initializing it again. Okay. So first, last. So you basically have a first, last, and you basically have a stuff name. So now this is where, since you have sort of inherited from the person class, you need to create that in it also. Okay. Because it would have its own init also, right? First. Yeah, now it's done. Now your init is done. Now say suppose you write one more method, def get employee. So you have a self. So now let's say this is self return self dot. Okay, self dot name. So you write so person is there. I think there's a bit of this thing which is left, self dot. I think now it has a staff number also as well, right? So there is an argument over there. So you just use self dot staff number is staff num return self dot name. Name is a method which is there in the previous class, right? So this is how basically you use your right. So this is how basically you use your sort of inheritance, right? So this name method is basically a method which is there in the initial class, right? So suppose I write person. So I'm creating the person class. I'm creating an object of person class. Say I write. I write Donald Trump. So that's the first object. Now say I create. So I basically create an employee object. In employee object, you have three: first, last, and staff name. I think. So let's setting staff name. Be I think we'll just replace it. Staff name with staff num, right? So an employee would be the first name. This thing is this employee is staff number is again. This is a number, but anyways, I'm just putting it in inverted commas because I'm passing it as a string over here. Right now, you got your employee. This thing. Okay, you need to run this. You already employ this thing. Okay, now this is where I think you can see. Now when you print, so you use X, press tab, you'll get to know what methods you have, and you just say name. Yeah, name. Since this is a method, you get the name now, right? Now when you do y dot, so you get all your methods, all your attributes. So you get a get employee. Right, so this is self dot name. So when you get employee, so get employee basically calls a self dot name. So this self dot first name, last name is basically whatever you have written over here, right? Self dot first name, self dot last name. So it does not use the previous object, whatever you have created, right? It basically uses whatever it has been created over here, right? Next, instead of you writing the init again over here, right? In this particular case, you can actually use this. There's actually one keyword which is called as super. So you just basically use a super. The super basically will take care of the initialization of both. So you need not again run the same self dot first name, self dot last name, and all those things again, right? So what this is. So let's look at the super example as well. So I think you would generally see in bit more stable code basis. Generally, people generally they prefer super instead of again calling it as a class name. So for the super, you need not have yourself as well. Right, now you run this. So now let's say you run the same thing over, and you run the same thing again. X dot name, you get this. Y dot name. Right. So yeah. So this is what is inheritance is. So next, I think, how do you override methods of the parent class? So how do you override is you just write the same name over again. Okay. So say suppose I'm overriding this over here. Okay. So say I am overriding my name method. So name method was there in the parent class, but I sort of method in child class, right? Okay, so let's just restart. I think it is holding state more. Oh, great. So you need to create the object again. Okay, that is why the issue is. So you run this and create a new thing, right? Right. So you see how it's overridden. So it's as simple as that. There's no much complexity. You just write the name if it's overridden. So whatever method is there in the parent class easily gets overridden. There's no much of complexity over here. Okay, then thank you for joining.